in the garage, back in the shop, building bikes. Had a crazy couple of weeks. Had to go to France, do some shows out in Nantes, France with Julian Welsh. Had to go on a vacation, had to do a bunch of stuff. So finally got all that stuff out of the way. Back in the shop, building bikes, getting back kind of like in the groove of all the projects that I had going, because I got a ton of them. I got a ton of projects. So just to give you an update on a couple of them. So the Speed Triple RS that you see behind me, last I had to figure out a way to bypass the cables for the exhaust, because replacing the cat box with a mid pipe no longer has the exhaust cables, exhaust flap valve that was in the exhaust, so it won't run without it hooked up. So it just basically goes into like a limp mode. So I got to go through Tune ECU and get that like kind of all situated and all sorted out. So my local dealership here can do it all. So that's scheduled. So we're going to get that all done, get that all tuned, get the cat actually eliminated from the header, not the cat box, but the actual cat that's in the header. So that's coming up. Same thing for the 1200 RR, the Speed Triple 1200 RR. Same process. So I'm just kind of ironing it out first with the RS. Then we'll move on to the RR. But for this one, I'm gonna get started on the 765 RS that I have. That thing it's pretty much bone stock right now. I already removed like the mullet off the back and little things like that, just kind of clean it up. But it's bone stock right now. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the exhaust. So again, the guys over at Motivation USA and SC Project hooked me up with another sweet, amazing exhaust for the 765 RS that we're gonna slap on. This will eliminate the cat box, free up some power, probably have some sound. So without further ado, let's just get on to swapping this thing out. So again, the stock exhaust isn't that bad on this bike. Like, it actually flows with the bike pretty good. I have seen them where they have the carbon tip, which is even like a nicer touch. This one doesn't have the carbon tip, but it does go with the bike. You know what I mean? It's small, it's out of the way, it's not loud, it's not crazy light, but at least it looks good. But it's gotta go. It's gotta go just because it's heavy, it's quiet. It's basically the opposite of everything that I want in exhaust. So it is time to swap it out with this. Another fine SC Project exhaust. So again, the guys over at SC Project always hooking me up, always taking such good care of me. And this exhaust, I've seen it before and it's awesome. Let me see if I can get this thing out of here. There we go. So again, always super nice packaged, always done right. So we got the mid pipe and the can. So of course, they give you all the mounting hardware. They do a really good job of like supplying everything in like a nice clean fashion. And of course, look at those lobster cuts, like they're so sick. This thing weighs practically nothing. Like, this thing is so light. Like, it is so light. It's so sick. Such a crazy, nice piece, for sure. And, of course, the can. Which, again, super nice. Got the carbon tip on it. Not as light as that, obviously. It's got a removable baffle inside, so if you want to pull the baffle out, you can. But all in all, super sick setup. Really nice. So the exhaust is super nice, obviously, you saw it, but I mean, this thing, like, it's pretty mind-blowing how light this thing is. I mean, it weighs nothing. The welds are unreal. It has like zero weight to it. Like, I don't even know if this thing weighs a pound. The can itself weighs a little bit just because it's got all the packing inside of it and all the internals within the can. But still, this with the can itself has to be way less than the stock exhaust. But I don't know, we'll pull the stock exhaust now and we'll see what the difference is. And of course, like an idiot, I forgot that the 2023 Street 77765 RS doesn't have a two-piece header. So basically, it doesn't have an exhaust that goes to a cat box that bolts onto the header. It's all one piece. So the cat box that is connected to the exhaust is actually one piece welded onto the header. So in order to swap out the stock exhaust, you have to get a header from a 2022 Street 77765 and swap out the header, or you have to cut it and do a bunch of welding and fabricating and stuff like that. So luckily I was ahead of this and I ordered a new header from a 2022 model to go ahead and be able to swap it out. Kind of a pain, but at the same time not too big of a deal because you can find headers on eBay. You can order headers, they aren't crazy expensive. It is an additional cost. It is kind of a weird thing that you have to go around and be able to swap out the exhaust on these bikes. But again, emissions restrictions are getting so crazy nowadays, and what they're having to do to be able to maintain emission restrictions to be able to sell these bikes is getting stricter and stricter all across the world. So these are some of the things that we have to deal with. Luckily for me, I ordered the header ahead of time, so I have the header. So we'll start with taking off the stock header, swapping out the new header, and then we can go ahead and put the exhaust on. So if you can see here, here's your header. The header runs down, runs under. So normally this would be its own piece. This and the cat box would come under and would bolt on right here with just an exhaust hanger, just a sandwich clamp. But this one, the cat box and the exhaust is all one piece welded to the header, and it goes all the way to the front. So in order to swap that, you need a new header, which luckily I ordered ahead of time because I saw the problem, and the guys over at SC Projects were telling me as well. So I'm hoping that this is the solution. We'll get the stock one taken off, and we'll get this one slapped on. Okay, so I got the header all loose. It's basically these 6 nuts and that one 8mm head right there. Those 6 nuts are will hold the header on. That 8mm holds the radiator to the bracket. So when you loosen that, you can swing the radiator forward to give you clearance to be able to pull the header out. And it's just those 6 bolts up there. Again, just these guys, that 8mm for that bracket, and she should come right off. And there it is. Came out in one piece. As you can see, the header is all one piece. The header, the cat box, and the pipe, all connected to the header. So 2 other things that you do have to remove to be able to get this to come out. There's these 2 little 12mm heads that hold it onto a clip on the clutch lever side if you're sitting on the bike. And also you got to pull the O2 sensor out of it. But like I said, one piece header the entire way. So in order to be able to swap out your exhaust, you either have to cut and fab up some stuff here to make it fit, or you get a header from a 2022 model and you're good to go. So there's the 2022 header next to 2023. So I guess in all reality you could just cut that there. Looks like the diameter is different. You'd have to do some fabbing and welding to make it work. So it was easier to just get the 2022 header, and all problems are fixed. Again, this thing all is one piece. Weighs a ton. That cat box, God, that thing's got to weigh 20-25 pounds with the pipe on it. In comparison to that guy and that guy, it's gonna be quite a bit of weight cut. So we'll start getting this thing all bolted up. So when you're talking about catalytic converters, a lot of people think that that's a cat. So that's a cat box. That's the physical cat. So inside there is like a bunch of honeycomb pattern or a bunch of round layers of material that's blocking that, and that acts as your catalytic converter. So now they have this header off. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can. So that's what's inside this thing. So that's what's restricting flow and helping them with emission. So in essence, that's your cat. So being that this bike isn't going to be a stunt bike, this bike is just going to be a hooligan, ripper bike, road bike, all around just stock trim looking. It's going to have some aftermarket stuff here and there, power commander, some tuning, mapping. But since it's not going to be a stunt bike, I think I'm going to actually gut that out. I've done it on a bunch of other bikes, frees up quite a bit of performance. You lose a lot of torque, so that's why I'm saying since this isn't that's why I'm saying since this isn't a stunt bike, I don't really need all that torque, even though torque is always nice to have. I'm looking for just more power, whether that be mid and top end. These things are relatively torquey to begin with just because it's inline 3-cylinder. So I think there's a little bit of torque that I can sacrifice and not really miss it. So again, if this was gonna be a stunt bike, I'd want that cat in because I want the extra torque and the extra back pressure that it gives you, which equates to torque and strong idle. But again, this isn't gonna be a stunt bike. This is just gonna be a all-around ass kicker bike, something that I could ride, have fun on, that rips, is fast, just an all-around good bike. So I'm thinking, let's get the cat. So that's the core of the cat that's inside the header. So instead of hammering it out, which didn't work all that good, I've been lucky before, but I've also done it this way where you just cut it out, remove the cat, weld it all back together. So not a big deal. Okay, so here we go. The chisel technique didn't work as good on this one just because the cat was further in. I've had it work before, so this one I just ended up just cutting right around here, ripping the actual filler of the cat out and then welding it back together. So it was easier to do it that way. So as you can see now, at least I'll try, there's no more cat in there. It's completely empty. It's just completely wide open. So there is no restriction at all. Again, it's probably gonna hurt me on torque, but again, this thing isn't gonna be a stunt bike. So it doesn't really need all that torque. I'm just looking for as much power as I can make. So yeah, took that bad boy out. Now to put it all back together. So got the header on. Nice new header. Freshly bolted on. Got the O2 sensor all back in. Got everything back together. One piece. Now to put the exhaust on. So got the sexy mid pipe on. bolted right up. I did have to find an exhaust clamp just because I didn't have one to use from the stock exhaust because it was one piece. But got the mid pipe on. Now time to get the can on. So there it is. So we got the sweet SC Project exhaust. The rad lobster cuts. That thing's gonna turn all sorts of colors. New header. Everything back together in one piece. Also gutted the physical cat that was in the header. So this thing is pretty much just straight pipe. So I know a lot of people are gonna say, why didn't you just run a race exhaust with a full race header and pipe and just eliminate having to gut out the cat, cut the header in half, re-weld it all back together. And I've been working with SC Project for a while now. They've been nothing but awesome to me. Big fan of their exhaust, the craftsmanship, just everything that they do from exhaust to helping out riders, whatever. I'm 100% support of them and stand behind them and their product 100%. So I don't mind having to cut the header and gut the cat out. I've done this on most bikes. There's very few bikes that actually run a race exhaust on. The majority of the stunt bikes that we're on are pretty much stock exhaust with a slip-on. You don't really need much more than that. This one I just wanted to do it just because this isn't a stunt bike. I just wanted to try to free up as much power, I guess the poor man's way, if you would, for anybody out there that just kind of wanted to do the same thing. So that's kind of my reasoning for doing it this way and going this route. But I can't wait to hear what this thing sounds like. So again, no cat, pretty much full straight pipe. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be loud as hell, but we'll find out. So it's pretty loud. It's not like crazy loud. I still have kind of like the baffle in the exhaust. I can remove that if I want it louder, but I think it's pretty damn loud. It's pretty good. It's not like crazy hurt your ears like D&D pipe loud. It's pretty good. It sounds good. But the biggest thing is removing that cat. This thing revs nasty. It's so snappy. It goes from like idle, which is at like 1200 RPM, to like 8 to 10,000 RPM, like just quick as a snap of the wrist. So this thing's probably going to be super responsive, super snappy. Can't wait to get this thing out next week and go and fill it out. I've ridden it stock, not a bunch, but I've ridden it stock. It feels a lot like how like the 2022 kind of felt like. It's a little bit better, a little bit lighter, different ergonomics, but feels really good. So I kind of have a good understanding of what it's supposed to feel like, but so I'm super pumped to see what this feels like, having the cat gutted. And from there, it's just nothing but performance mods. We'll do an air filter, power commander, tune. I have some motor mod stuff that I'm gonna be doing too, but that's it for this one. Super pumped I got the exhaust on. Wasn't a crazy hard job, it's kind of a pain that you gotta do the header thing, but hey, that's just the way it goes. But yeah, next one, I'll be out here ripping on this thing, roasting tires, seeing what she's really got. So I'll see you guys then. Peace.